This is the last known photograph of the Hadley family. Thomas, Ruth, their daughter Emily. They lived at 14 Wicker Lane, Millbrook, Ohio. On November 6, 1988, their neighbor called the police to report a smell. When deputies arrived, they found breakfast still on the table. The coffee was still warm. The television was on. But the Hadleys were gone. Not dead, not missing, gone. For 60 years, Millbrook was unremarkable. A factory town, a church town, a place where people stayed. But in the fall of 1988, the people of Millbrook started to vanish, one family at a time, always on a Sunday, always after a visit from the same man. The police called him the Sunday Visitor. He knocked on doors. He introduced himself. And here is what made the town lose its mind. He used the name of someone the family had lost. A dead child, a deceased parent, a husband who never came home from the war. He knew things only that person could know. And then he asked a question. The families who answered that question were never seen again. This is Bureau Case File 112, The Sunday Visitor. The question was never meant to be answered. To understand what happened in Millbrook, you have to understand what Millbrook lost. The town was built around the Harmon textile mill. In 1979, the mill closed. 600 jobs gone overnight. But the town didn't die, not immediately. What killed Millbrook was slower, quieter. In 1982, a school bus carrying 19 children skidded on black ice on Route 77. 14 children died. In a town of 2,000, that was almost every family. The town became a monument to grief. Parents stopped talking to each other because seeing another parent meant seeing their own loss reflected back. The churches held services every week for a year, and then, one by one, people stopped going. Grief is a weight, but in Millbrook, it became the gravity. No one could escape. No one could leave, because leaving meant leaving them. Harold Suttner was a detective with the Millbrook County Sheriff's Department. He had lived in Millbrook his entire life. His son, Daniel, had been on that bus. After the accident, Harold's wife left. Couldn't stay. Couldn't look at the town that took her boy. Harold understood. He couldn't leave either, because Daniel was buried in Millbrook Cemetery next to Harold's father and his father before that. The Suttners had been in that ground for 100 years. Harold would be too someday. He just had to get there. On September 4th, 1988, Harold Suttner received the first report. A woman named Gloria Marsh called the station. She was hysterical, not afraid, confused. Gloria Marsh could not recall the question. No matter how many times she was asked, she couldn't bring it back. She remembered the man's face, his voice, the smell of him, like old paper, she said, like a library that hadn't been opened in years. But the question, gone, as if her mind had locked it away. Harold filed the report under mental disturbance and moved on. He had 17 open cases that month. But over the next 3 weeks, 4 more people came forward with the same story. A man at their door, a dead loved one's name, a question they couldn't remember. And then the first family vanished. The Greenwoods lived on Ashbury Street. Frank Greenwood was a mechanic. His wife, Patricia, taught Sunday school. Their son Marcus had died in the bus accident in 1982. On September 24th, a neighbor saw a man in a dark coat standing on their porch. He was there for 43 minutes. The neighbor saw the Greenwoods let him in. She never saw him leave. The next morning, she noticed their dog barking. It barked for 6 hours. When she finally went to check, the front door was unlocked. The house was empty. No sign of struggle. No note. No suitcases packed. The Greenwoods simply stopped existing. Harold pulled the earlier reports. The 5 people who'd reported the strange visitor. He started calling them. 2 didn't answer. When he drove to their homes, he found the same thing. Breakfast on the table, television on, empty rooms. By October 15th, 8 families had disappeared. 31 people in total. The pattern was undeniable. Every disappearance followed a reported visit. Every visit occurred on a Sunday. Every family had one thing in common. They had lost someone, and the man at their door claimed to be that person. Harold distributed the sketch. Tips came in by the dozens, but they were useless, because everyone described the man differently. Some said he was tall. Some said he was short. Some said he was old. Some said he couldn't have been more than 30. But they all agreed on one thing. His face looked almost right. Almost. Like a painting made by someone who had only heard faces described, but never seen one. In late October, Harold interviewed a woman named Dolores Finch. She had been visited 3 days earlier. Her brother had died in Korea in 1951. The man at her door called himself Raymond. Dolores did not vanish. She refused to answer the question. Here is her testimony.
Mrs. Finch, can you describe what happened?
He knocked at 4:15. I remember because I was watching the clock, waiting for the roast to finish.
And when you opened the door?
He said, "Hello, Dolly." That's what Raymond called me. No one else knew that name.
What did you do?
I let him in. I know that sounds crazy now, but he knew about the letter Raymond sent from Seoul. The one that got lost. He quoted it back to me word for word.
And then he asked you a question?
Yes.
Do you remember what it was?
I do. I'll never forget it.
Mrs. Finch, what did he ask you?
He asked me.
The original recording of this interview was found damaged in 2019. 3 separate audio analysts attempted to recover the missing section. All 3 recovered the same phrase, but none of them could agree on what it meant. We will return to this. By November, the disappearances were happening every week. 12 families, 47 people. And Harold Suttner realized something that made his blood freeze. The Sunday visitor wasn't choosing randomly. He was working from a list. Every family that vanished had attended a memorial service at Millbrook First Baptist on January 16, 1983, the anniversary of the bus accident. There was a sign-in sheet at the door that day. 62 families signed in. 47 had now vanished. That left 15. Harold's name was on that list, and the Sunday visitor had already knocked on his door. Harold Suttner had no memory of the visit. None. He checked his calendar, his notes, his own security camera footage, a system he'd installed after his divorce. The tape from October 2nd showed a man in a dark coat walking up Harold's driveway at 6:47 p.m. Harold opens the door. The man steps inside. 41 minutes later, the man leaves. Harold never filed a report. Harold never mentioned it to anyone, because Harold didn't remember. Harold watched the tape 17 times. He tried to remember. He couldn't. What he could remember was a feeling, a warmth he hadn't felt in years, and the smell of his son's jacket, the one Daniel wore on the day of the accident, the one Harold kept in a sealed plastic bag in the attic. The jacket was still there when he checked, but the bag had been opened. On November 13th, Harold made a decision. He would find the Sunday visitor, and he would ask him directly, what was the question? Why didn't I disappear? And where did my neighbors go? Harold cross-referenced the remaining 15 families on the list. 3 had already left town. 7 wouldn't speak to him. But one, an elderly man named Eugene Carver, agreed to meet. Eugene had lost his wife to cancer in 1981. The Sunday visitor had come to his door 2 weeks ago. Eugene had not vanished. Eugene told Harold everything. The man who came to his door called himself Miriam. That was his wife's name. He knew things only Miriam could know. He spoke the way she spoke. And then he asked the question.
Eugene, I need you to tell me what he asked.
He asked me if I wanted to come home.
Come home?
That's what he said. Would you like to come home?
Eugene Carver did not disappear because he said no. Not because he didn't love his wife, but because he made a promise to his daughter to stay alive until his granddaughter was born. He had something to stay for. Harold now understood. The Sunday visitor wasn't a murderer. He wasn't a kidnapper. He was something worse. He was an invitation. And the people who disappeared, they said yes. The Sunday visitor stopped coming to Millbrook on December 4th, 1988. By then, 53 families had vanished. 119 people. No bodies were ever found. No ransom demands. No explanation. The state launched an investigation, then the FBI, then nothing. The case was labeled Mass Voluntary Disappearance, Cause Unknown. The town was effectively abandoned by 1991. Harold Suttner never stopped searching. He believed the answer was in the question itself. Would you like to come home? What did it mean? Where was home? Harold Suttner died in 2003, heart attack, natural causes. He never remarried. He never left Millbrook. He was buried next to his son in Millbrook Cemetery. The gravestone was engraved with a single phrase, the same phrase his son had written in a Mother's Day card the year he died. I'm coming home soon. The Bureau recovered Harold's files in 2019 from a storage unit in Columbus. Among them was a final piece of evidence, a single Polaroid photograph tucked inside his journal. It showed a group of people standing in front of a white farmhouse. The image was faded, overexposed, but the faces were clear. Frank Greenwood, Patricia Greenwood, Marcus, the Hadleys, Eugene Carver's wife, Miriam. All of them standing together, all of them smiling. The photograph was postmarked November 1988. It was addressed to Harold Suttner. The return address was blank, but here is what the Bureau's archivists found when they analyzed the image. The farmhouse in the photograph does not exist. There is no record of it in any Ohio property database. The field behind it matches no satellite imagery from any known location in the continental United States. And the people in the photograph? They're not standing on grass. They're standing on nothing. The ground beneath them is simply absent, as if the photograph captured a place that hadn't finished being built. The Sunday visitor asked a question. Would you like to come home? 53 families said yes. And they went somewhere. We still don't know where, but the photograph suggests they didn't go to a place that exists. They went to a place that was made for them. A place built from memory. A place where the people they lost were waiting. The Sunday visitor wasn't a predator. He was a doorman. And the door only opens once. Harold Suttner spent 15 years wondering if he made the right choice. If staying meant courage, or if leaving would have meant peace. We don't know where the families of Millbrook went, but we know this. Grief is a room, and some people spend their whole lives trying to get out. Others spend their whole lives trying to get back in. The Sunday visitor understood that. He offered a door, and for 119 people, that door led home. The Millbrook vanishings remain classified as unexplained. No official cause, no official closure. But the Bureau has logged 23 similar incidents since 1988. Different towns, different names, same question. This has been a Bureau Fiction investigation. The archives are open. If you know someone who received a visit, tell them to think very carefully before they answer.